Hi everybody. First of all, I just want to say a sincere thank you to everyone that's been listening to my brand new album, Places We Used to Go. It's a covers album featuring 10 of my favorite all-time songs that I recorded with my dad on bass, my good friend Andy on drums, and I played guitar and I sang. And it was just a lot of fun to release and to get all of your nice comments, and for everyone that's been streaming it, I really appreciate it. So I just want to say thank you very much. And for those of you wondering about a physical release of the album, I'm actually not going to be able to do a physical release just because the licensing of all the songs for physical media is just absolutely insane. It costs a ton of money to do that. So I had some kind of lofty ideas of releasing, putting it on maybe on vinyl, doing some CDs, but for now, it's just going to be on a streaming platform, or all the streaming platforms it's currently on. So if you want to enjoy it on Spotify or on here on YouTube, it's available for all of you to check out. So yes, thank you very much. But now, for today's video, what I want to talk about, the Beatles Revolver Super Deluxe Edition. This happens to be the vinyl version. And it's been 2 years since this has come out. So this is the last Super Deluxe Edition Beatles album that we've gotten. Of course, last year they released the Red and the Blue albums, which were remixed by Giles Martin, and I've talked about those, and you can watch that video up here. But those were not a Super Deluxe Edition like this is here. And the Super Deluxe Editions, for those of you who don't know, they've already done Sgt. Pepper, they did the White Album, they did Abbey Road, they did Let It Be, and then they did Revolver. And on these Super Deluxe Editions, you get the full album remixed by Giles Martin. You get a bunch of outtakes, which is always really nice. You get a nice booklet. I love the books in here. And then with some of them, you get also the mono mix. And Revolver was the first one to include the mono mix, a vinyl pressing of the mono mix. Cut 100% an analog cut, by the way, which is very cool. So it's been 2 years, and I wanted to give my thoughts on this box set because I've really had a lot more time to digest it. I like it a lot more than I liked it originally. When it first came out, I was a little underwhelmed by it, is what I'll say. But over time, over the last 2 years, I've really come to enjoy it a lot. Now, I of course have made a video, 2 years ago I made a video about this when it first came out, my initial thoughts about this Super Deluxe Edition box set. And I made another video, I think, as well, like my top 10 favorite moments of this box set. But in this video, what I'm gonna do is give you my updated thoughts on this box. So first of all, let's just show you the box. I think it looks very cool. You get the Revolver cover, of course, drawn and put together by Klaus Vormann, their good friend from Hamburg. And of course, it doesn't have the title Revolver on there like we're used to seeing, but that's all right. There is the back, also very cool. And then the contents of the box. You get the excellent book. And I don't know if this shows up on camera or not, but the book has like some kind of glossy designs here that you can't really see of the Beatles' hair, which is kind of a nice touch. I'm not going to show you the whole book, of course, because I've gone through it before, but it's got, of course, great photos like this one right here. You get detailed little write-ups of each song, of the recording dates and who played what. Sometimes they put the tape box, which is always really nice. So the booklet is great. Like all of the booklets in the Super Deluxe Editions, I gotta say. They've all been fantastic. Some are better than others, like I've talked about before. The White Album book for the Super Deluxe is just absolutely, hands down, my favorite one. But Revolver is great. A lot of really good information in here. And even some of the essays that were written by other people are really cool as well. So great book. And I look at the book every time I take this out to listen to either the sessions or the mono pressing of the album. I take that book out and look at it as I'm listening. Very fun to listen to, or to read while I listen, I should say. Here's the remix of the album. And again, It's a mixed bag for me. So I actually did buy a standalone pressing of the remix as well. I think I got the Target exclusive one that came with a t-shirt. And I got it because the box from Target, they misspelled Revolver. So I think it said like a Revolver or something. They missed like a V. Anyway, that's the reason I picked it up, and it was on sale and whatever. But that pressing, I forget where it was pressed. I think it was maybe pressed in Canada. I could be wrong. But it was a different pressing plant than this was pressed. This was pressed in Germany by GZ Media. And the pressings are pretty good, is what I'll say. They're a little bit noisy here and there, but all of the pressings in my box were all playable and just definitely okay for me, is what I'll say. No warps, no skips, nothing like that, nothing that horrible. Just the vinyl itself is a little bit noisy. Would have been nicer if they would have maybe gone with a different company like Optimal or something like that. But they didn't, and that's okay. So back to the remix. I like some of the songs on here that have been remixed a lot. Like Here, There, and Everywhere is absolutely beautiful and stunning. I like what they did with Eleanor Rigby, where they made the strings are now in stereo, which is really, really cool. I love Dr. Robert has some nice extra kind of oomph to it now, which is kind of cool. But then there's some songs that I really don't like what they did. She Said, when this first came out, I actually thought She Said maybe it was even like an outtake or something. It sounded so wrong to me. I've come to find out that really what happened here is he has, there's double tracked electric guitars going on, and he turned up like one of the electric guitars that we don't normally hear in the mix. He made that one louder than the one we normally hear, so the guitar lick is just kind of weird. And just overall, the remix doesn't work for me on that song. And that is one of my all-time favorite Beatles songs. I know it's kind of a weird one, but I love She Said. It's always been one of my favorites. So I was really disappointed to hear the remix of that, and it didn't really come off all that great, in my opinion. Some other ones that I didn't really like were Tomorrow Never Knows. He tried to make all the tape loops, and he made them in stereo, and it just was too distracting to me. It didn't really feel natural. And I know I'm probably just complaining. I'm just so used to the original stereo mix or the original mono mix that it was just kind of too much for me to take in, to have those loops just all over the place. It just was kind of weird. So again, like I said, kind of a mixed bag for me as far as my opinion goes about the remix. And that's pretty much how my opinion was when I first heard the remix. It's kind of stayed true 2 years later. I still feel the same way about this that I felt early on. And to be honest, I don't listen to this remix all that much. I do listen to it occasionally, like in the car I'll put it on or something, but as far as the vinyl pressing of it, I don't listen to it that much. Okay, next up, one of my favorite parts of this box set, the Sessions. And this comes with 2 LPs in a very cool jacket, and of course I'll show this later, but this is the EP you get with the box set. The front cover is a collage that was made by Robert Freeman, and it was originally going to be the Revolver cover, but they of course ended up not going with this, which I think was smart, but I think it's so cool that they used it for the Sessions record here. There's the back. And it is a gatefold, and it's a very cool gatefold. Great shot of the Beatles in Studio 3 at Abbey Road, and I think that day they were working on Paperback Writer, I believe. And the other really cool thing is that the records, the labels, they use Parlophone like test pressing labels, which I think is a really, really nice touch. So, very, very just well made, and a lot of thought was put in, I think, to the packaging for the Sessions, and I really do appreciate that and really like that a lot. Now, as far as the actual content of the Sessions, it's great. I do have some things that I still, like when I first made the video back in the day, I complained a little bit. I still have those same complaints. There's no representation whatsoever for the song Good Day Sunshine on here. And I do understand that when they recorded just a bunch of the basic tracks for that song, which was I think just piano and drums at the time, maybe a bass was there too, that they would just, as they went along and recorded it, they would wipe the first takes and go back and then record the master take. So maybe those early takes don't even exist anymore. That's possible. But even if that's true, they could have just put just the instrumental version, just the backing track version of Good Day Sunshine on here, just to have it on here, because it's weird not to have any type of representation for Good Day Sunshine. All the other songs are represented somehow on here, even the little bits in the session. So that's a big complaint for me. But other than that, there are just some fascinating outtakes on here. And yes, some of these are repeats from Anthology 2, like you get the laughing version of And Your Bird Can Sing. And while it's been remixed here, and while there's like a little bit extra on the beginning and on the end, it's pretty much the same thing we've heard on Anthology 2. Same goes for like the take 1 of Tomorrow Never Knows. You get a little bit of extra at the beginning, a little bit extra at the end, but it's the same thing we've heard on Anthology 2. But there are some great things on here. You get the mono mix of Tomorrow Never Knows. That was the first mix that was pressed on first pressings of the UK mono album. They had a different mix of Tomorrow Never Knows. George Martin and the Beatles didn't like that mix. They withdrew it, put the mix that we're all used to hearing on there now. So, excuse me. And so the mix that we're used to hearing was then put on all the mono pressings of that. And of course now those first pressing UK mono albums are worth a lot, because you get that rare mix of Tomorrow Never Knows. Not that rare anymore, of course, because it's now here for everyone to listen to, and I actually like it a lot. So that's cool to have on here. You get early versions of Love You Too, the George Harrison song. You get early versions of Got to Get You Into My Life, which is really cool. Just so many excellent outtakes on this. And of course, the big surprise, at least for me, the biggest surprise was to have the songwriting work tape of Yellow Submarine. So you get to hear John's original demo of Yellow Submarine. Before it was even called Yellow Submarine, it was a different song that Paul and him worked on together and then turned it into Yellow Submarine. But it's like a lot of us Beatle freaks didn't even know that existed. So those little bits are just so amazing for, at least for someone like me, who I feel like I've tried to listen to every single little bit of recording material out there. To hear something brand new like that, just amazing. So yeah, the sessions, just great. I cannot praise them enough. I liked it when it first came out. I still like it. I think I like it even more now. And when I listen to this box set, this is what I listen to the most, these sessions. Just endlessly fascinating for me. And again, I like to read the book as I'm listening to this. Okay, and again, like I said earlier, the crown jewel of this box set is the mono mix of the album, this mono pressing that they've created. And they did it exactly 100% the right way to do it. They took the original mono master tape, they cut it using an all analog signal, and so it's a completely analog pressing of the mono mix, and it sounds phenomenal. In my opinion, it sounds better, not a lot, not like a million times better, but a little bit better than the 2014 mono pressing of Revolver that came out. And I also think it's better, in my opinion, than the original UK mono pressings of this album that came out in the 60s. And why do I say that? Well, I say that because, first of all, it's just so clean. Finding a near mint, pristine copy of the UK mono version of Revolver, it's nearly impossible now. And if you do find one, you're gonna pay a ton of money for it. So this one is just pristine, perfect as far as the condition goes and all that kind of stuff. So that right there is a plus. And then the other thing is that back in the 60s when they were cutting these records, they had to consider a lot of things that they don't have to consider now. Back in the 60s, they had to consider that a lot of kids were buying this and they were playing it on just one tiny speaker on a really kind of crappy record player. And if there was too much bass or too much high end, the needle would actually skip or it would distort the speaker itself. So they had to take a lot of things into consideration when cutting this album back in the 60s. This modern pressing, they don't have to do that. They know that people have higher end stereo equipment that can handle a lot of low end, a lot of high end. So it's just a little bit better. And when I say a little bit, it really truly is just a little bit. Am I gonna give away or sell my original 1966 mono UK pressing of Revolver? Absolutely not. I love it, it sounds great. But this one, it's just an amazing, amazing pressing, and I'm so glad they did it the way they did it, and I'm so glad they included it in this box set. And I hope that with the future Super Deluxe editions coming, I don't know which ones those are going to be. It's rumored to be Rubber Soul next year, let's hope. But hopefully they include Rubber Soul, just like they did for Revolver, include an original mono mix on vinyl. So, just amazing. Again, this box set is worth picking up just for this alone. So, high praise for me, and well deserved, I think. Okay, and last but not least, this is the record in the box set that I listened to the least. I listened to this maybe 4 times total. You get the remixed versions of Paperback Rider and Rain on one side, and you get the original mono versions of Paperback Rider and Rain on the other side. Now, here's the question I have for some of you out there, if you do happen to know this, and if you're also wondering, by the way, I placed this in a polyline sleeve. It did not come with one. I placed it in here because I'm trying to keep it nice. I wish they would have included a polyline sleeve, but they didn't, and that's all right. And it kind of fits in there, but kind of doesn't. Back to my question. I was kind of getting derailed there. My question is, on the mono side here, where they include the mono versions of Paperback Rider and Rain, was this cut with an all analog signal like they did with the Revolver, the mono pressing? Or did they use a digital file? Now here's why I'm thinking it's not an all analog cutting. Because on the other side, of course, it's the remixed version of these, which we know they were digitally remixed and done by Giles Martin. So, of course, those are digital files that have been pressed to this vinyl. It would seem kind of challenging and just hard for them to try to do that with an all analog pressing on the other side. So I'm guessing it's not an analog pressing for the mono. That being said, these sound fine. It's nothing that I think is just a mind-blowing thing that you need to listen to. It's cool that they included it in the box set, but they could have easily not pressed it here on a as a single, a 45 single. They could have just included it on the Sessions records here. They easily could have fit. They didn't, and they included this, and I guess it's like a nice little bonus in a way, but really, we didn't really need this. So those are my thoughts on that. So overall, this box set has grown on me, and I've really come to appreciate it a lot more than when it first came out. And I gotta say, I've been listening to it a lot more than I thought I originally would when I first bought it. When I first got it, I kind of was worried, like, maybe I won't listen to this all that much. Maybe I'll just listen to this one time because it's new, and then it'll just sit on my shelf and kind of be forgotten. But that is not the case at all. I've been listening to it pretty consistently. Maybe like once a month I'll take it off the shelf, and one will either listen to the mono pressing or the Sessions, or I'll want to reference something in the book or something like that. So it's really been an excellent box set, and I'm really happy that I picked this up. And if you don't have this in your collection, and you're a Beatle fan, or you're just a fan of music in general, and if you're a fan of music in general, you're probably a fan of the Beatles. But if you are a Beatles fan, you gotta have this box set, in my opinion. It's definitely a solid A for me when it comes to box sets. A plus would be the White Album Super Lux Edition box set. Definitely, hands down, my favorite one. But Revolver, it's grown on me, and it's excellent. So if you don't have it, pick it up, because I think they're actually a lot cheaper now. At least when I go to my record stores now, I think you can get this for like around $100. So definitely worth it. So anyway, that's the video for today. Hope you enjoyed it. More videos to come. I kind of took a little break there just because I was working on promoting the new album I released and all that kind of stuff. But I'm back into making videos again, especially with the new box set coming out here in a week. So a lot of videos coming up talking about that, of course, and other things as well. So stay tuned. Hope you're all doing well. Take care, and bye for now.